For 6 years I did everything the internet told me to do, and my body barely moved. Nothing changed no matter how hard I tried. I counted every calorie until eating felt like math homework. I timed my workouts perfectly. I fasted through long, miserable mornings that dragged forever. And here is the frustrating part. All of it worked, but only a little. Something was missing, and nobody ever bothered to tell me what. There was one simple thing I could have done at breakfast this entire time. When I finally found it, I was almost angry at myself, because it was easier than everything I had been struggling through for years. So let me save you the 6 years that I completely wasted. First, I will tell you what this breakfast trick actually is, then the exact foods that make it work, then the full daily plan. But before any of that, let me fix the biggest myth about insulin resistance. Once this clicks in your head, everything else will make sense. Insulin resistance is not really a sugar problem. At its core, it is an inflammation problem, and that changes how you should think about it. The most inflammatory thing you can carry around is stored body fat. That soft tissue quietly pumps out inflammation all day and all night long. That inflammation sits between your insulin and your cells, like a jammed lock. Lower the inflammation, and your insulin can finally do its real job. And the fastest way to lower that inflammation is simple. You lose the very fat that keeps producing it in the first place, permanently. Now here is the spoiler you have been waiting for. The trick is not fasting. It actually has everything to do with protein instead. But not the tired advice you keep hearing everywhere. Not the boring idea that protein is filling, so you naturally end up eating less. Yes, protein is satisfying. Yes, it takes a long time to digest, just like fiber does. But that is honestly not what is happening here. What I am about to tell you got buried in the research for nearly 20 years. Then it slowly started resurfacing again, and it changes everything. It is called protein leverage. And once you understand it, you will never look at your hunger or your cravings the same way ever again. Here is the idea. Your brain, your hypothalamus, and your liver are all constantly listening for one single signal all day long, and that signal is protein. If you do not hit a certain amount, they do not just shrug and quietly move on. Instead, they start sending one message on repeat. That message is simple and relentless. Eat more, eat more, eat more. It keeps driving you until that protein target is finally reached and satisfied. This is not about willpower at all. Your own biology is actively pushing you to overeat, and it refuses to stop until you feed it protein. Sit with that for just 1 second, because it flips the entire problem upside down. Your cravings might not be a discipline failure at all. That maddening feeling of eating a full meal and still being hungry afterward. It might simply be an unmet protein signal screaming quietly inside you. So what is the magic number? The research points to roughly 0.6 grams of protein per pound of your body weight as the minimum. And here is the genuinely liberating part. Newer studies show you can eat a large amount of protein in one sitting and still fully absorb it. Forget the old myth that your body only handles 30 grams at once. That means you can front-load protein first thing in the morning. And when you do, something quietly remarkable happens inside your body. Your brain and your liver simply stop screaming at you for more food. Your appetite drops. You naturally eat less for the rest of the day. You lose fat. The inflammation comes down and your insulin starts working again. There is even a hormonal bonus waiting for you. Once your body stops overeating, it releases hormones that calm inflammation and improve your insulin sensitivity. I genuinely wish I had known this years ago. It was so much simpler than every complicated thing I had been forcing myself to try. Meeting my protein target early in the day did not just change breakfast. It completely changed the entire rhythm of how I ate every single day. But hitting your morning target is only the beginning of this. What you do with the rest of the day is where it truly comes together. So let me walk you through the whole day, step by step. Breakfast is where you hit that protein number, and it is completely non-negotiable. But there is a second player almost everyone ignores: your gut. A huge amount of this appetite signaling actually runs directly through your gut lining. Your gut is in constant conversation with your brain all day. So a little while after breakfast, once you are fully digested, support that connection. A quality probiotic, or something naturally fermented like kefir, helps keep that gut-to-brain line open and working exactly the way it truly should. Now lunch is where we shift gears completely. You still want protein, but this time around you want it fast-acting instead of slow and heavy. Here is a trick that sounds a little wild at first. Have a fast-digesting protein shake before you even sit down to eat your lunch. Why does that work so well? Because your protein signal actually migrates throughout the day. You have little hunger checkpoints around every single meal you eat. By meeting that midday signal quickly, you walk into lunch already partly satisfied. And suddenly not overeating is not a battle. It just quietly happens. Now dinner is where I usually lose people, so please stay with me here. This is when I want you to place most of your carbohydrates. I already know exactly what you are thinking right now. If you are insulin resistant, every instinct screams, do not eat carbs before bed tonight. But trust me on this one, because two things are quietly working in your favor. The first one is something called the second meal effect. Carbs eaten earlier in the day can actually raise your blood sugar later on. So pushing them to the evening works better than you might expect. But the bigger point is even simpler than that. When you nail your protein all day long, you honestly stop craving many carbs in the first place. And if you keep those carbs out of sight until dinner arrives, you will often find you do not even want all of them anymore. That is how you naturally cut carbs without ever feeling deprived. And slowly, you start rebuilding that broken relationship between your cells and your own insulin. Now let us talk about the actual foods, because it is not only about how much protein. It is about which protein and what comes with it. Start with eggs. Eggs are the #1 breakfast food here, and it is honestly not just because of the protein they happen to give you. They are loaded with choline. That is the raw material your brain uses to build acetylcholine, which is a very important brain chemical you truly need. Here is why you should care about that. When you are low on acetylcholine, your brain energy quietly dips down without you even really noticing it. And when your brain energy dips, your body tries to claw that energy back the fastest way it knows. That means more calories and more sugar. That is a huge, hidden source of your daily cravings that nobody talks about. Eggs quietly help you shut that hungry, energy-hungry door completely. Then, if you want to level up further, mix in a little beef. Or, if you are feeling brave, a small amount of beef liver. I know liver, honestly, is not for everyone out there. But the B vitamins and dense micronutrients it delivers hit targets most people are quietly missing. And that leads me to something I truly think we have had backwards for years. It may be less about calories and more about nutrient density. Your body will keep sending you back to the fridge until its actual nutrient needs are finally met. That craving is deeper than simple hunger. It is the best explanation I have seen for why processed foods are such a trap. We eat mountains of them but never hit our needs. So we just keep eating and eating and eating. What if the real problem with processed food is not that it is processed at all? What if the real problem is simply that it is nutritionally empty inside? That single question changed how I look at almost every food now. There is one more nutrient worth calling out clearly here: calcium. Your body treats bone health as a top priority every single day of your life. And if you are short on calcium, that is one more reason your body keeps you feeling hungry. So build calcium right into your breakfast. Add some cheese to your eggs. Eat sardines, bones and all. Reach for cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or skyr. Lean into that rich dairy protein. Do that, and you cover your calcium and your morning protein target together in one single, simple move. Two important boxes checked with almost no effort. So let me pull all of this together now, because the whole plan is actually very simple once you finally see it laid out clearly. Aim for around 0.6 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and get most of it in early, first thing in your morning. Your body can absorb far more in one sitting than you were ever told. Make that breakfast nutrient-dense with eggs, some beef, and calcium. Reach for fast-digesting protein around lunch to keep your appetite in check. Then push most of your carbohydrates toward the evening and your dinner. Do that, and for once you can stop obsessing over calories completely. You just eat until you are truly full and honestly satisfied inside. Until your brain, finally getting the signals it was quietly asking for this whole time, tells you clearly that you have officially had enough food. One last thing, because it quietly undoes all of this if you ignore it. Sleep. None of this works well if you are running on empty. When your sleep falls apart, your hunger signals and cravings go completely haywire. And the best protein plan in the world cannot beat a tired brain. So protect your sleep like it is part of the actual protocol, because the honest truth is that it genuinely is a core part of it. 6 long, frustrating years is what it took me to learn all of this. You just got the entire thing in under 10 short minutes. So do not waste the time that I wasted chasing every complicated trick out there. The answer was sitting quietly at your breakfast table all along. Now go fix your breakfast tomorrow morning. Hit that protein target early, stack it with real nutrients, and let your own biology finally do the rest.